Combustion imminent? What does that mean? Ah!
It means fire, Robert.
So we just came back from watching The Incredibles 2.
Yep.
And I actually enjoyed that a lot more than I thought it would.
Would you say it was incredible?
I would say it was incredible.
Ooh.
The first movie is a distant memory for me, I will be honest.
The original Incredibles was basically Watchmen for kids, starring the Fantastic Four, but without all of the Alan Moore misanthropy. It's all about these exceptional people who are being stifled by this law and having to keep to their quote-unquote day lives, and this family who all have superpowers, whose last names hilariously are Parr,
Right.
like average, while their superhero names are incredible. So it's like these incredible people having to pretend to be these Parr people.
Right.
And it's got this bad guy who's resentful because he's not superpowered and whose ultimate goal is to make superheroes redundant by selling technology to give everyone powers, and it's this whole thing, right?
Right, right.
And when everyone's super, no one will be.
This movie is about, hey, aren't superheroes cool? And they are cool. And this movie definitely does a lot of cool stuff with the action scenes, but...
Yeah, I should maybe then rewatch it, because I really like this one. I like the sort of clever use of the powers and stuff. The family itself, of course, stick to their traditional powers. This was a really interesting execution of those powers. It was unfortunately super predictable.
Oh god, yeah.
Every set piece was interesting, but oh, you could tell the ending from a mile away.
Yeah. There's this whole big arc where it's like, who is the screenslaver?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on with the screenslaver? And it's like, if you've been paying any kind of attention, you know immediately what's gonna turn out to be the case with the villain.
Yeah, that was maybe my second biggest gripe. My biggest gripe was that at the beginning-ish, when the screenslaver is introduced, there's like this monologue that the villain gets.
He starts monologuing. He starts like this prepared speech about how feeble I am compared to him, how inevitable my defeat is, how the world will soon be his.
Supers are no longer in control. I am.
It kind of touches on that whole conversation about how we're glued to our screens, propaganda, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't do anything more about that, and I get it, that flies over kids' heads, but it's always nice, and Pixar typically does a really good job of keeping something in there for the adults in the room as well. And I was interested to see where that went, but it was just like, nope. But it was highly entertaining. I was actually expecting that to be very poorly managed, the two stories, and I was expecting an Elastigirl-focused like tale, like 90-10 split, but it was very like 50-50, and neither of the 50s were bad. I don't think you felt the same way.
No, I liked it. Like, I liked the home stuff.
Yeah.
And there had character stuff, and he has to cope with being, like, a stay-at-home dad.
Right.
And Violet's got, you know, boy troubles, and Jack the baby is coming into his powers, and Dash is also there.
That's so true.
It's just that at a certain point, it's like, okay, these guys, they're getting, like, all the character development in the movie, but their story is totally divorced from the plot, which is this whole thing with the screenslaver and what's going on with, like, the superhero re-legalization. Like, it's completely unrelated. And it's great stuff, but it feels like filler.
But I thought that was, like, some of the most entertaining stuff, actually. The dad side of the story, to me, was infinitely more interesting than Elastigirl.
Right, because she gets no character development.
Yeah.
That's all Mr. Incredible and Violet, for the most part.
Yeah.
Elastigirl is, like, the main thrust of the action set pieces, because she has one of the more interesting powers to sort of play around with and do stuff with on a screen. There's this team of other heroes, other supers in the movie, and they get a lot of stuff to do. There was a character who makes, like, portals.
Yeah,
like
I thought that was really well done, actually.
That was really cool.
Void.
But that character isn't a character we care about.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, this is all really cool action scene stuff, but what is it serving? There's great character stuff and there's great action stuff, but it doesn't mesh fully.
Right.
You know what I mean? For the first two acts of this movie, Mr. Incredible and the rest of the family, besides Elastigirl, do basically nothing hero-related. And then even when they do sort of join the fray towards the end of the movie, they're sort of segmented off into these groups where it's like the kids are off doing something and then, you know, Frozone and the parents are doing something, but you really don't get that sort of team moment where they're all kind of working together and using, and that was some of the best stuff in the first one.
The action bits and the character bits are so segmented that when the action's happening, you don't really feel all that invested outside of a couple moments here and there. You don't feel like, oh, I've watched this character for the last hour and now it's, you know, her chance to prove herself and save the family or whatever the hell it might have been in like the first movie, right? You're right, absolutely. That's probably why Elastigirl was the centerpiece, because again, you can do really fun and interesting things with her powers.
One of the best sequences in the first one is where she's sneaking into the base, the bad guy's base, and she's like using her powers, and she's like getting caught on doors, and so like her arm is like 2 doors past, and pretty much every big action scene in this new movie is that she's like using her powers in creative ways, and it's all really cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
There's nothing I don't like about the movie. It's just that the first one was so much better.
Right, so like you don't feel fulfilled, I suppose.
I guess. It's definitely not up there with some of the greatest Pixar movies, like the first Incredibles, the Toy Story trilogy, Monsters Inc., WALL-E, or you know, Cars 3. But if you enjoyed the original, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't like this one. I would say go check it out in theaters.
If you want a good, fun Pixar movie, this will be right up your alley. If you've got kids, great time with a family. I would never go alone to watch this movie in a theater, though. Yeah,
solid movie, just not up to the greatness of that original.
So it's not like incredible, it's just credible.
It's credible.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching Bull Session. If you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe for more content in the future. Leave a comment down below letting us know what you thought of Incredibles 2. Is it The Incredibles 2 or just Incredibles 2?
I think it's Incredibles 2.
Because the first one was The Incredibles.
Right.
Thanks very much once again for watching, and take care.
Oh, what about the other videos on the screen?
Oh yeah, there's more videos. Watch those.